Children are always the most vulnerable victims when conflicts erupt, and they're separated from their families as they flee violence. They often become targets of abuse, violence, and exploitation. Now, in an effort to protect them, the United Nations Children's Fund and the Association of Volunteers in Internal Service created a program called Child-Friendly Spaces in camps for internally displaced persons that encourage children to express themselves through songs, games, sports, and dance. One such program is ongoing at the Mugunga Refugee Camp on the outskirts of North Kivu's capital, Goma. Thousands fled to the area when fighting broke out between rebel militias and government forces in North Kivu province 2 months ago. While children here are attempting to have some semblance of childhood, parents are also getting lessons on different ways to prevent families from separating, such as attaching children with a cloth or rope. This mother of 4 explains how the program helped her keep her family together during the recent attacks.
The war broke out at 3 a.m. in Bihambwe. We had a lot of gunshots. I couldn't take anything with me because I had 4 children in the house. So I took a piece of cloth and tied my children one to the other to prevent them from falling into a big river that we had to cross.
More than 100,000 people were reportedly displaced following the fighting that erupted in April when former rebels integrated into Congo's army returned to the hills after President Joseph Kabila announced his plans to arrest one of their commanders, General Bosco Ntaganda, who is wanted by the International Criminal Court. Eli Bahati, a volunteer with AVSI, says of the 15,000 internally displaced persons in the Mugunda camp, only 68 children are believed to have been separated from their families.
Very few children were reported separated from their families, and to us it's a very positive result because of the prevention and information activities that were implemented with families. Wherever we go, we've seen parents tied up to their children not to lose them on the way. We've also found spontaneous cases where children knew their parents' names and they were easily traced back to their parents or families in 30 minutes.
UNICEF Protection Officer Pontien Bashige says the child-friendly program provides the children in the camp with life-saving information on prevention of separation from their families by teaching them to remember the names of their parents and villagers in the songs they sing.
En situation d'urgence, les CFS sont un maillon important des communautés protégées.
In an emergency situation, the child-friendly space is an important link within the protected community, first as a protection structure for children particularly, and it tries to identify among the displaced community volunteers to supervise the children. The child-friendly spaces also identifies the other structures operating in the camp, which can be used to orient children who need assistance.
More than 1,000 girls and boys are also acquiring new skills such as sewing, knitting, and basket making.
Well, we apologize. That was not the story on Egypt. That was, in fact, a story about some efforts in internally displaced camps to help keep children with their parents during flight from violence. Now, meanwhile, the internally displaced persons are also participating in helping to identify vulnerable children and referring them to the Child-Friendly Spaces program.